y'all. Sorry for the delay here. We had some technical difficulties on our end. So I know that in the description box, it says that Kristen Thompson's going to be leading this live, but we just had some, like I said, we had some technical difficulties, and I'm Rucha Trivedi, and I'm going to be leading you through this warm up today. I'm going to have to do a little bit of back and forth between my music and the YouTube here, because like I said, we're just not quite prepared for this. It will be a lot smoother next time, I promise. Okay, so I'm gonna just set up a metronome here. Whenever I do a warm up, I always start with long tones. And the reason for that is you wanna make sure that the first thing that you do is make sure that your air support is really strong, really controlled, and that you're creating a beautiful sound on the clarinet. So I'm just going to set up my metronome here. I use Tonal Energy Tuner as my metronome, and that's what I find works the best for me. My dogs are barking downstairs. I don't know if you can hear them, but I'm going to just set this metronome here at 60. Of course, you should take a breath when you need one. We're about to do a lot of whole notes here, right? So just dip out, take a breath when you need one, and then come right back in. I'm going to back up a little bit from my computer here so the sound isn't distorted. And then we should be good to go. Okay. All right. So we're going to start just with an F major scale here, and I'll back up so that you can see me. An F major scale, 1 octave in whole notes. We're going to start on our low F, which is going to be thumb, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, plus this pinky key here. All right, so I'll try to stay pretty close so that you can see my fingers. But other than that, this is kind of what some people call like the walk up the clarinet scale. It has 1 flat, B flat. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so big deep breath from the bottom of your stomach here, and then we'll get started. 1, 2, ready. So right there, I feel like I definitely used good air. I blew all the way through the clarinet down into the floor. I was supporting my sound from my abdominal muscles or the bottom of my stomach, whatever you want to call that, and really just pushing the air through the clarinet there. All right, let's do the next part of the long tone warm-up, which I believe are interval scales, but let me just double check here. Yep, we're just going to go up to, I'm going to need to actually look at the music for this one because it looks like Kristen changed it a little bit from what I did. Still, let's go at 60. But again, now we're switching notes here. So not only are we going for really beautiful sound, we're also going for really good smooth connection in between the notes. So let's go ahead and get started here. 1, 2, big breath. In all honesty, I may have played a wrong note there. As you can see, I wear glasses, and I think the exercise has been changed a little bit since the last time I looked at it. So I'm sorry if I played a wrong note. My far vision isn't so great there, but I feel like that's a good long tone warm up. If you feel like your air is supported and activated for your practice session, then you've done a good long tone warm up. Like I said, I start every single practice session with long tones, even if it's like the third or fourth practice session of the day. I like to check in with my long tones on something short and sweet, even if it's just like that. All right, so first part of the warm up, always long tones, warming up the air. Second part of the long tone, or part of the warm up, is going to be engaging our fingers, making sure that our fingers are ready to move, play all the technical things that we have to play as clarinet players, be it scales, chromatic, any kind of exercises that you have to do, band music, anything like that. So let's go ahead and start with these exercises. These are going to help you go over the break of the clarinet. So remember, going over the break is going from anything in the low register of the clarinet, the chalumeau register, up into the clarion register of the clarinet. That's going to be anything above your B flat here. So B, C, and up. It's one of the hardest skills to practice as a new clarinet player, trying to go over the break. I remember being so frustrated when I was learning this. So it's a good idea to spend just a little bit of time in your warm-up session focusing on this particular skill. Then when you run into it in music, in your scales, you've already practiced it and you can focus on the actual music that you're playing. So let's go ahead. I'm going to have to flip back and forth again between the PDF here. So the first one is going to be going from G to A. And we're going to do what's called a rhythmic accelerando here. So that means the rhythm is going to start slow. We start in quarter notes, as you can see, and then we speed up and go into eighth notes. And there's really no limit on how fast you can go here. You can really start going in triplets, 16th notes. But for now, let's stick with the quarters and the eighths. I'm going to turn the metronome back on. I'm going to keep it at 60 for now, and we'll practice just going from G to A. I'm going to take a breath after the whole note, and then we'll regroup and start again. Ready? Big breath. Same air you were using for the long tones. 1, 2, big breath. So there, I tried really hard to keep all the rest of my fingers still, just moving that index finger there. Let's go to the next one. The next one is going to be G, A, B flat, A. Same style of quarters to eighths. Metronome on. 1, 2, again. Let's check in on the next one. A to B natural. Same deal here. Make sure that you're taking really good breaths and you're pushing the air through the clarinet. 1, 2, ready. A secret here to going over the break is whenever you can, leave as many fingers down as possible. So here I was leaving down almost my entire right hand for A, and then going up to B. It will change the pitch when you do that, but it really helps with the smoothness of the change between that throat tone A up to the clarion B. So I highly recommend that if you're struggling, Just check in with your fingers. Where are they? All right, let's go to the next one. Next one is B, A, B natural. All right, metronome on again. 1, 2, ready. All right, let's check it on the next one. We have A sharp to B natural. And A sharp is also known as B flat, so that's just going to be your register key in the back here, plus A, and then going back and forth between the A sharp or B flat to B natural. This is another one, before we start, sorry. This is another one where I highly recommend you keep down 1, 2, 3, and pinky on the right hand here. It's going to really help with the smoothness between the register. 1, 2, ready. All right, let's check in again on the next one. That's it for our finger warm up. So we've warmed up our air. We've warmed up our fingers now with a special over the break kind of exercise. And now let's go ahead and warm up our articulation. Some people tend to think that the most important part of articulation is how fast you can move your tongue. That is not true. The most important part of articulation is whether or not you are supporting your sound with that same good air that you are using in the long tones. If you don't use good air, the reed won't vibrate to its fullest possible best way. And there's no way that you're going to be able to articulate fast if that's what you're going for. It's not going to be very clean if that's what you're going for. So if you're ever struggling with articulation, first check in with your breath. Is the breath good? Because if the breath isn't good, it's going to be really, really hard for the articulation to be good. When we do these articulation exercises, make sure that you're using your tongue to touch the reed. We don't want to be huffing and puffing at all here. So have your tongue touch the reed, say 2 every single time. It looks like we're going to be doing an F major scale, the same F major scale that we did in the long tone here, and just doing 1 measure of quarters followed by a half note, and then 1 measure of eighths followed by a half note on the same note, then going up. So here we go. This is still on at 60, so we're not really going for speed at this point. We're just going for making sure that we are warming up the tongue a little bit. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. That's kind of a workout for the embouchure, isn't it? That's totally normal to feel super tired when you're practicing articulation. It's a lot more work to practice articulation. So it's totally normal for you to get a little bit of air out of the corners of your mouth. I hope y'all enjoyed this live warm-up. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the live, and I know we started a little bit late. Really appreciate you guys hanging in here and watching through. Let us know if you have any comments about how this was run, besides the weird thing at the beginning. Could you hear us? Could you hear me properly? Were my dogs too loud in the background? Any comments would be greatly appreciated. Our next live is going to also be 2 East Coast time, and it's going to be the intermediate PDF. So if you want to go ahead and get practicing on that, that's the one that we're going to be doing on Thursday, April 2nd. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Happy practicing.